Orientation. I know I say this a lot, but it was not what I was expecting it to be at all. So for this video, that's what I'd like to talk about. So why was it not like I expected it to be? Because I just assumed that it was going to be like a maybe 30 to 45 minute, either meeting or video or something like that I'd have to watch. But in fact, when you do it, it actually tells you that it's like a 6 to 8 hour course. So yeah, you're definitely going to spend some time getting that entire course done. Now, the good thing is it's not a difficult course. I think the course, even though it says it takes between 6 to 8 hours, it probably took me maybe 2.5 to 3 hours. It's not super long and it's not super complicated. Could you speed your way through it? Yeah, you probably could. But it's a course that, while it is required, you have to finish it before you actually officially start WGU on the 1st. I don't know what happens if you don't finish it by then. Not going to find out because, I didn't want to mess with that. But it's not a difficult exam, so you might as well just go ahead and do it. But still, because you're being given the opportunity to learn about WGU and you're given the opportunity to learn how it all works and resources and things like that, you might as well take your time. I took my time. I didn't rush through it. It was still done pretty quickly, but it's not something that's super hard to do. So I would definitely recommend that at the very least, you take your time with it, because it has to be done by the 1st. You get access to it 15 days early. And by the way, you don't have to do it all in one sitting. I did all of it yesterday, but you can stop and start whenever you want to. So just take the time to get it done. There are 2 types of courses, at least my understanding, that you're going to have at WGU. You're either going to have the type that ends with an objective exam, or there's going to be a performance assessment. The objective exam is just simply, that's your like proctored exam when you're sitting there and you have the camera on you and you just have to sit and answer questions just like you would at, most types of exam based things that you do. This also applies to the third-party certifications that you have to do when you go for like CompTIA or ITIL or whatever. The other one is the performance assessments. Performance assessments, it's not kind of a live proctor thing. Instead, what you do is maybe you'll write a paper or something like that, and then you will submit that paper, and then it can take, I think it says 2 to 3 business days, but you submit that paper, it'll be manually graded, and then it'll be sent back to you. Then, just so you know, it is possible that you could have a class or two that actually requires both of them. You may have to do both a proctored exam and have a written assignment. You must complete both of them in order to pass the class. The reason why I wanted you to know about both of them is so that you know how this orientation works, because this orientation kind of falls under the side of performance assessment. So, you're going to go through the entire course, which again could take a couple of hours, and then at the very end you have to do you have to basically write a paper and do that performance assessment. Now, I can't tell you exactly what the subject is about or any information on it, but I mean, it's an orientation course, so you should be able to figure this out. So anyways, you do the paper, you submit the paper, and then you're good to go. That's how it works. In my particular situation, I was told that it should take about 2 days before I get it back. Since I submitted the paper yesterday, I think it's 2 business days, because they basically said in the little thing, it said that, you should get your grade by like, Tuesday afternoon. So I should get my grade then. About the same time I got access to the orientation, I also got access to my official WGU email. And this is important because they actually sent me an email. Now, they'll send you an email to both your WGU email and your like personal email, but they sent me an email basically letting me know that, hey, you have access to this course, you need to do it by the 1st, but also occasionally they have just kind of random webinars where you can learn more information. And they actually had a webinar for the orientation. It was optional. I didn't have to go, but I'm 100% invested in it at this point. So if there's any type of, company thing that I can go to or I can learn about, I'm going to do it as I continue to go through WGU. So I attended the webinar. It was about 30 to 45 minutes, and I got to learn a little bit about WGU as a whole. I think it was pretty good. It was decent information. You still need to do the course though. So if you choose to attend the orientation webinar, great. It's just going to give you more information, help reinforce some of the information that you need to know, give you some resources, again, things like that. But you still got to do the course. So there's no getting away from that. And in a nutshell, that's pretty much orientation. It's not very complicated. It's just a little bit long because they decided to do it in the form of a course. But I think that was probably the right decision. You have basically that course that you'll do on top of being able to, do the webinar video kind of thing. It really comes together nicely. And I'm actually glad they did it that way because I learned a lot and I found out that there's a ton of different resources that you have access to. Overall, I like it. I think they did a good job. One last thing that I want to mention before I kind of talk about the next steps is I talked with my enrollment counselor earlier this week, and it was a pretty short phone call, to be honest. He just called to say, hey, the next step's already been unlocked. So you'll have access to orientation, you have access to your email, and that was pretty much it. And I was like, okay, so do you know when I'm going to get assigned my program mentor? And he was like, I'll call you sometime next week, and if they haven't already assigned you a program mentor, we'll go from there, but you'll probably already be assigned that program mentor. And so the next phone call that we have will be the last conversation that we have. And I was like, okay, so yeah, that's it. I will have one more phone conversation at some point this year. I don't even know when it's going to be, but I'll have one more conversation with my enrollment counselor, and that's it. There will be no more working with him. I will then move on to exclusively working with my program mentor. Regarding my program mentor, I will talk about my program mentor in the next video. The reason why is because I have officially been assigned a program mentor. Around maybe 15 minutes after I got access to the orientation, I was sent another email where my program mentor, she just introduced herself. And, she basically wanted me to schedule a time for me and her to meet. The earliest availability that she had on her calendar was Tuesday. So I will be meeting with her kind of mid-Tuesday. And, once I meet with her, obviously, as you guys know, I would prefer to do the remaining 10 classes in a very specific order if possible. But, she is, she's essentially judge, jury, and executioner as far as what classes I take and when I take them. So, I'm going to obviously try to get on her good side, and I'm going to share the reasons why, I prefer to do each class in the order that I'd like to do them in. So we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting like anything bad. She seems really cool. I actually looked her up. Seems like a very nice person. So we'll see what happens there. But just know that as far as next steps are concerned, I just need to have that meeting with my program mentor on Tuesday. And I believe in that meeting is when we will discuss the classes that I'll be taking at my first term. And once I have that information, I'll give it to you. I will probably make a video shortly after that talking about the 10 remaining classes and the full order that I'll be doing all of them in, but that is for another video. I have 2 weeks left, just 2 weeks before I start WGU. Officially, I start my first term, and I'm excited, but I'm also a little bit nervous. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, that's all my updates for now. So until next time, you guys take care.